What if I told you a single explosion was heard nearly 3,000 miles away? On August 27th, 1883, one of the most powerful volcanic eruptions in recorded history reached its climax in what is now Indonesia. The sound was so loud that people thousands of miles away thought they were hearing distant cannon fire. Sailors aboard ships far out at sea reported a deafening blast. To this day, it remains one of the loudest sounds ever documented by humans. The source of that explosion was a volcanic island called Krakatoa, and within hours it would unleash one of the deadliest natural disasters of the 19th century. Krakatoa was a volcanic island located in the Sunda Strait between the islands of Java and Sumatra. For centuries, it had remained relatively quiet. Then, in May 1883, everything changed. The volcano suddenly erupted, sending ash and steam high into the sky. Residents along nearby coastlines watched dark clouds rise above the island. Ships passing through the strait reported ash falling onto their decks. The eruptions continued through the summer. Each week seemed to bring stronger explosions, thicker ash clouds, and more signs that the volcano was becoming increasingly unstable. Yet few people realized they were witnessing the beginning of one of history's greatest volcanic disasters. By August, the activity had intensified dramatically. Explosions echoed across the sea. The ground shook. Windows rattled in towns miles away. Huge columns of ash rose above the volcano. On August 26th, Krakatoa entered its final and most violent phase. Massive explosions shook the island. Dark ash clouds spread across the sky. In some places, daylight faded into an eerie twilight. Ships sailing near the volcano reported dangerous conditions and falling ash. The volcano had been warning the region for months. Now it was reaching its breaking point. The morning of August 27th brought disaster. 4 enormous explosions erupted from Krakatoa over several hours. The final blast, at approximately 10:02 a.m., was the largest. The explosion destroyed much of the island itself. The sound was heard across vast stretches of the Indian Ocean. People in Australia reported hearing it. People on Rodrigues Island, nearly 3,000 miles away, reported hearing it as well. The force of the eruption was so immense that barometers around the world recorded the resulting pressure wave. Scientists later determined that the wave circled the Earth multiple times. Ash, rock, and volcanic debris were blasted high into the atmosphere. But the eruption itself was only part of the catastrophe. The sea was about to become the deadliest weapon of all. As large portions of Krakatoa collapsed into the sea, enormous tsunamis raced outward through the Sunda Strait. Some tsunami waves are estimated to have exceeded 100 feet in height. Entire coastal towns had little warning. Villages vanished beneath walls of water. Ships were thrown inland. Buildings were swept away. Thousands of people never had a chance to escape. The devastation stretched across both Java and Sumatra. When the disaster was finally over, official Dutch colonial records reported more than 36,000 deaths. Most of those victims were killed by the tsunamis rather than the eruption itself. The effects of Krakatoa did not end in Indonesia. The eruption blasted enormous amounts of ash and gas high into the atmosphere. For months afterward, people around the world witnessed strange and beautiful sunsets. The sky glowed with vivid reds, oranges, and purples. Artists painted the unusual colors. Scientists studied them. People who had never heard of Krakatoa suddenly found themselves seeing its effects above their own cities. The eruption also contributed to a slight drop in global temperatures. Few volcanic eruptions in recorded history have had such widespread effects. Much of the original Krakatoa had been destroyed. The island that caused the disaster was largely gone, but the story did not end there. In 1927, a new volcanic island began emerging from the sea within the old caldera. It became known as Anak Krakatau, meaning child of Krakatoa. Over the decades, it continued to grow through repeated eruptions. Today, it stands as a reminder of the catastrophic events of 1883 and the immense forces that continue to shape our planet. The eruption of Krakatoa was more than a volcanic disaster. It was an event heard across oceans, recorded around the globe, and remembered for generations. A volcano exploded, the sea rose, entire communities vanished, and for a brief moment in 1883, the world itself seemed to shake. I'm Penny, and this has been another journey through time. Until next time, every place has a story, and every year has a secret.